Hello everyone. Today we are discussing the MCQs of salient features of the Constitution. This test was conducted 2 days back. Yesterday I have uploaded the detailed explanation with regard to objective resolution and preamble. Now we'll directly go and see the MCQs and we'll try to learn. This is me, Sayyid Shujatullah. I am I've been teaching for civil services for a lot of period of time and mentoring a lot of students at free of cost. So if you wish to be a part of my free guidance and mentoring, along with that, subject development is one of the very important aspect of my whatever I do on the Telegram. So if you like it to be a part of it, the Telegram link is there also in the description, and also I have here. So let us go ahead. Fine. So if anybody wants to enroll in this any economic optional or law optional, which is not free of cost, of course, or any of these courses separately you want to learn from me individually, then you can call to me on this number. That's all about it, and that is what I am talking about. Free personal guidance and mentoring program. Along with that, subject development is very important aspect of my Telegram group. So this is my Telegram group. You can join it and refer to your friends if you like it. Fine. This thing we have done yesterday in detail. Those who are watching me for the very first time, please go and watch the last video. The last video is on the objective resolution and how the objective resolution has been converted into preamble. Whereas objective resolution is not a part of the constitution, preamble has been declared by the Supreme Court of the country as a part of the constitution. Preamble is not enforceable means if any of the principles of preamble, whatever we have seen in this way. Okay, if any of these principles are violated by the constitution, can we go and file a case with regard to preamble? Okay, it is not like that. It is not enforceable. Preamble just help the judiciary for the interpretation of laws, interpretation of constitution. It just is nothing but preamble is a light bearer. Wherever judiciary finds it very difficult to discharge any justice, wherever judiciary feels that there is a confusion is there with regard to the law and with regard to the constitutional any of the provisions, they can go back and see the preamble. So preamble is just act as a light, like a torch for the judiciary. Okay, for the judicial interpretations of the laws made by the government. All these we have done yesterday. Okay, let us go ahead with our MCQs. Consider the following statements. The objective resolution was moved in the Constituent Assembly by W.C. Banerjee. Absolutely wrong, because we know that the objective resolution was put forward by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. W.C. Banerjee was a wrong statement. It's a wrong statement. The date of adoption of objective resolution was 22nd January 1947. Okay, so in the objective resolution 22nd January 1947, we adopted the objective resolution. Objective resolution was adopted, not the constitution. Please make a proper difference when I am speaking. I know that I am very fast when it comes to English, but I cannot help it out because South Indian students are also there. My own Hyderabad students are also there. North Indian students are also there. So it is better that I keep a balance and talk about only in English. Okay, I have got lot of messages and they are saying that sir, you are talking in Hindi also. How can we understand? Okay, तो मुझे थोड़ा बहुत इंग्लिश में ज़्यादा बात करना पड़ता है. Okay, fine. So what we have got here, so this is right statement because it is mentioned just now we have seen, and this is wrong statement. Why? Because it's not W.C. Banerjee who has moved this resolution. It is our very own Chachaji. Okay, Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, the one who loves children's lot, just like me. Okay, so answer, yeah, the first statement is incorrect, second statement is correct. So second statement is correct, our answer will be B. And what is asking? Correct statement. This is a very important twist. So always do remember that whether he is asking correct or incorrect. There is very the students always lot of time they will go with their impulse. The moment they find it very easy, now what they do is they jump on the conclusion and they will mark the answer. They don't see the correct or incorrect they are asking. So whenever a easy kind of questions come, no, there you should have the presence of mind. Then you should definitely see whether it is correct or incorrect. Then the objective resolution broadly outlines the following. So in the yesterday's class we have seen that it talks about unity and integrity, right or wrong? See, it talks about union of India. Just now let us see that. It talks about unity and integrity of the nation. Does it really talks about it? Where is it? Okay, we have to find out. Yesterday we have done it. Hmm. So just we'll have to. Hmm. Unity and integrity of the nation we have to see. You know that yesterday we have seen that it talks about India is a sovereign, India is republic. Then it talks about union of India. Yesterday we have seen. Okay. Then this is a provision for a federal character, right? We have seen that. The and it says that the power of the authority means Indian those people who are administering us, they are deriving the powers from the people, means we are only electing them, that's why they are deriving the powers through us only. So, and we have also seen that this objective resolution also seems to establish justice, equality, opportunity, that all that we have seen. Okay, and advocates, this is called minorities. Okay, for safeguards are also mentioned, and special provisions could be made for the depressed and other backward classes. It is also there here. Okay, so integrity. See, it talks about what integrity of the nation also, integrity of the territory of the Republic of India, and that's very common. And fine. So that is implied here. So you can just go with this. This is the right one. It talks about unity and integrity of the nation. It provides freedom of speech, expression, so on and so forth to the citizen of India. So do we have this provision? Let us see. It talks about freedom of expression, belief, everything is there, worship, etc. Okay, so that is also a right statement. Okay, there is no mention of a reservation or safeguards to the backward classes. This is absolutely incorrect, because just now we have seen that it talks about what it talks about, that safeguards nothing but some affirmative actions. We call it as what? Affirmative action. Safeguards, reservations, all these are considered in a umbrella word called as affirmative actions. So safeguards to be given for minorities, depressed classes, tribal areas, and backward classes. So that is it talks about it. But here in the statement, there is no mention of reservation. But it is not so. Just now we have seen there is a mention of reservation or safeguards to the backward classes. This is wrong. It talks about the formation of Union of India. I have told you that this is the provision that talks about Union of India. Okay, so here when we see the options, first of all we are going to see whether it is incorrect statement or correct statement. Then we understood that it is the correct one we have to find out. Okay, so in this correct one, we know that this is a wrong statement, so we have eliminated this one and this one. Now we are left with only A and B. So when you have to make choice only at one, if you know one properly, then your answer is there here. So we have already discussed that one is the right statement. So when one is there, automatically B will become your answer. Okay, 1 2 4, 1 to 4 will be the answer. Here it should be like, I have not made it, but it should be like B. It should be B, 1 to 4. So I have given the statement, these things I have given this correct only, 1, 2, 4. All are correct. Here also 1, 2, 4. So answer is B, not C. Okay, I'll just make the correction for that. It is B. Got it. Right. Let us also see whether we are recording or not. Many times it happens that I forget to tap the button of recording. Fine. This is also done. Okay. Arrange the following in the chronological order. It has been mentioned many times once in UPSC also they asked this question. We have already learnt about this in the preamble. So first of all, sovereign. Okay. So this is I think this is the old one. We should have a sovereign, socialistic, and secular. Then we'll get democratic, then republic. Remember this point. This is the old one, so I don't know why they have missed it, but remember this point: sovereign, socialistic, secular, democratic. So here, sovereign is 1, socialistic 4, secular 2, democratic 3, and republic 5. 1, 4, 2, 3, 5. Where do we have it? We have it here. 1, 4, 2, 3, 5. 1, 4, 2, 3, 5. So our answer here is D. Our answer here is this. This is a very, very important question already asked in UPSC once. Right. Consider the following statements. The objective resolution was moved by Constituent Assembly by W.C. Banerjee. This is a repeated question. The answer for this is it is not moved by W.C. Banerjee. It is moved by Jawaharlal Nehru. The date of adoption of objective resolution is right. Okay, so the first statement is correct. Second statement is correct. I have repeated this because you will get a revision. आपको revision हो जाता है. Fifth one, the preamble of the Constitution provides liberty of. It provides liberty of only these 3. Association word is not there. Association word is not there. Liberty of thought, expression, belief. Okay. Liberty of, thought, expression is also there. Belief along with the faith and worship. Along with faith and worship. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we are having. Remember this point. Okay. So it does not talk about which one? It does not talk about association. So our answer will be 1, 2, 3. Where is 1, 2, 3? Yes, B. What is that? Is asking correct or incorrect? Yes, correct. So answer will be B. So first statement is thought is right. Second expression. Third one is belief. Fourth one is incorrect. Why? Because association is not mentioned in liberty. Not mentioned in liberty. Right. Consider the following statement. The preamble of the Constitution secures liberty, equality, justice only. Okay. Then let us see that. Liberty, equality, and justice. Only I have written. No. It is fraternity also. It ensures to us fraternity also. Only is the word should not be there. So that becomes a wrong one. That's why I have given here. Incorrect. First one is incorrect. Why? Because only here we also have fraternity. Fraternity. Justice is provided to secure only political and economic. Under the justice, only political and economic it is talking about. So under the justice, it is talking about not only political, economic, but it is also talking about social justice. Is also talking about social. So this is also a wrong statement, right? Only political and economic means wrong, because not only political, economic, but also it gives us social justice. So this is also wrong. This is also wrong. The principles mentioned in the preamble is applicable to the citizens and aliens also. No, it is nowhere written that. Okay, it is like in the preamble itself we give it to the citizen. What is it written here? We give it to our citizen only. It is written like that way. Okay. The people of India having solemnly resolved, means everyone together happily made this resolution that we want to make our country on these principles, to constitute India into a sovereign democratic republic, sovereign socialistic secular democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens all of this, to secure to all its citizens all of this. So it does not talk about aliens. Aliens are nothing but, I'm not talking about jadoo, koi mil gaya ka jadoo nahi, I'm talking about foreign nationals, foreign nations. So all these we are going to secure only to our citizens, not to others, okay, fine. So this is again a wrong statement. So he's asking incorrect one. So all the above are incorrect. So I have mentioned 1 is incorrect, 2 is incorrect, 3 is incorrect also. The answer is D. So this is anyhow not required. Answer is D. I hope you got it. The date of adoption of Constitution by Constituent Assembly. Okay, adoption. We have learned about objective resolution, January 1947. Now it is asking that date of adoption of Constitution. Date of adoption of Constitution 26th November 1949. We adopted our Constitution, means the total Constitution is written on the basis of objective principles. The total Constitution is written and we have given the Constitution to ourselves. Okay, adopted. Okay, let us go and see that also. Okay, what is the date here? November 1949. 26th today, November 1949. Hereby we adopt, means we adopted. Okay, object resolution January 1947, means the what principles, on which principles we have to make Constitution is on January 1947. Then 2 years of time was taken to make the Constitution. Then after the total Constitution was made, and we added preamble. Also remember that preamble, this particular paper was not added at first. When the total Constitution is made, preamble was added later. Okay, this part is, though it belongs to the very first page of our Constitution, it is added at the last. Okay, then see, objective resolution January 1947. Adoption of Constitution 26th November 1949. Constitution came into enforcement 26th January 1950. Okay, 26 January 1950. Remember this point. So this is the chronology of our Constitution. So 26 January 1949, answer is B, absolutely right. Fraternity in the Constitution secures to all citizens. Fraternity I am talking about. Okay, let us go and talk about fraternity first. Okay. Fraternity talks about dignity of individual, unity of nation. Dignity of individual and unity of nation. Now whatever we are having, what we are having here? Dignity of individual, unity of individual, and integrity is also there. And integrity is also there. That is the old, mainly that is not properly placed. This picture is there. Integrity is also there. Solidarity he does not talk about. This is a wrong one. So answer will be 1 to 4. 1 to 4. 1 to 4. So answer is A. Answer is A. So the fraternity aspect in preamble does not talk about solidarity. Means lot of people will think that fraternity means brotherhood, bhaichara. So definitely solidarity will be there. That is a very common annotation they may attach to it, but it is not like that. We have to read specifically what is there in the preamble. You cannot assume anything. Okay, you cannot replace the words. If you want to replace the word, then you cannot do just like that. You have to make a constitutional amendment. So replacement of word is that much difficult there only. How can you want substitute anything on it, right? You cannot do it. Which among the following is sovereignty in true sense? Okay, so sovereignty means, remember this point here. Sovereignty means India, okay, whatever the laws they make, however they administer the country, whatever the rules they will make solely at its own will. At its own will, whatever is required, the Indian authority will do that only. There is no foreign pressure will be there in formulation of any laws in the country, formulation of any acts in the country, formulation of any schemes in the country, formulation of any policies in the country. No external influence. Nobody should influence us. Okay, India is supreme in its own sphere. India is supreme in its own sphere. India can establish nuclear power plant. India can establish divide the states. India can separate one state from two states. India can do anything. India can make any act of its choice. Maybe India can ban, okay, pig. Pig slaughter India may ban. India may ban. Okay, but pig and all is mostly eaten by European countries. European countries cannot say, why did you ban pig? Why did you ban pig? Okay, so we want to export pig to your country, and we are generating lot of revenues from the pig exports from your country. You don't ban it. So India is not going to listen to this way. India is not going to listen to this way. Slaughtering of cow is an internal matter of our country. No country should say why you are banning cow slaughter. No organization that like WHO can say that cow is also a very good source of protein. Why you are banning? Okay, India has no. Okay, India is not going to be in under any influence of any other country. No country should say, India, why do you talk to Pakistan? Why do you talk to Bangladesh? Why are you very close to Russia? Why are you not talking to China? Why are you making relations with Sri Lanka? India is supreme. It is up to India. Whatever India can do, India can do. There should not be any authority, not be any regional bloc. Like United Nations cannot dictate terms to India. WHO cannot dictate terms to India. You do this way, COVID you handle this way. We are releasing some protocols. WHO may say that we are releasing some protocols how to manage the COVID. So you should follow that. India will say, please, we can do ourselves. Okay, we will just if they are good we'll take, if they are not good we'll not take, but you don't have to suggest or you don't have to order us. So India is not going to be influenced by any regional bloc, any trading bloc or WTO or BRICS, whatever is so on and so forth. Okay, India is supreme. But remember this point, nowadays in true sense, in this is what in truth whatever I have told you just now, that is a true sovereignty. That is true sovereignty. That is a meaning of exact sovereignty. But you know that WTO will say always India don't give subsidies to the farmers because foreign products are not getting competitive. Okay, so generally what happens is, let's suppose all over the world 1 kg of rice is being produced as 45 rupees. On an average price is 45 rupees, but Indian government may give subsidy to the farmers. So 40 rupees our farmers, 5 rupees are borne by the government. So we are selling at 1 kg 40 rupees. And if we import like Europe, Germany, France, USA, if they export their rice will be 45 rupees because their governments are not giving subsidy. India is giving subsidy, because of that cost is reduced and we can produce 1 kg of rice at 40. These countries, their government is not giving them subsidies, so they can at most they can produce at 1 kg of rice at 45. So when 45 kg of rice is there, 40 kg of rice is there, which one you will pick up? You will pick up anyhow 40 kg, 40 rupees kg, because Indians are price sensitive. So here these people will go and complain to WTO and say that, sir, you talk about globalization, you talk about free trade of goods and services in and out of country. Now India is giving subsidies to their farmers. When India is giving subsidies to the farmers, what is happening? The prices of that goods are decreasing in India. Okay, because of that, our products, when they go and when they are in competition with their products, okay, our products are not being that comparative advantage we are not getting because of Indian government giving subsidies. And WTO then talk to the officials of our country and say that no, you should not give subsidies. If we don't listen to them, what will happen? They will make sanctions on it. Sanctions are nothing but they start giving what they start restricting trade of other countries with our country. Okay, they say to Iran, Saudi, don't give oil. They say so. This is what is today's world. Okay, there is in no sense, in true sense, there is no sovereignty. There is no sovereignty. Remember this point. Okay, India being a member of BRICS, India being a member of IPSA, India being a member of SAARC, India being a member of UNO, wherever India is having membership. Okay, if suppose in future India gets a membership in nuclear supplier group is hardly a group of 40 to 45 countries. Here, the nuclear material like uranium, okay, uranium reserves producing countries and uranium whatever the using countries, all that countries are there here. These countries are governing the total uranium global trade means in globe, who to whom uranium should be given, to whom uranium should not be given. Suppose India becomes a part of this nuclear supplier group and India wants to give to Sri Lanka this uranium, then India first of all has to take the permission from this group. Okay, it means our decisions are being influenced by this nuclear supplier group or not? Yes. That's why I am saying true sense of sovereignty is not there in any part of the world at present. Okay, we are having a compromised sovereignty. Compromise sovereignty. Okay, I think you got it. So we are talking about here true sense. True sense means the before I told you, like pig, cow, laws, laws, whatever policies, schemes. It's up to India. India has nobody can tell India to do this thing. India is free to make any policies internally, any policies externally. India is free to manage internal, external affairs. Okay, so that's why. Here, the first one is non-interference of external factors. Very right. This is the first true sense of sovereignty is non-interference of external factors. We passed a citizenship amendment bill. Okay, many people inside the country also opposing it, and because of we are having United Nations Human Rights Commission and all, they are also criticizing us. But still, India is going ahead. It means here we are making our stand that we are a sovereign country. We are not going to bow down to anyone, right? So external factors, if you do this, then it is called as true sovereignty. True sovereignty. So non-interference of external factor, very right. Freedom to manage both external and internal, freedom to manage both. I have written this both. Freedom to manage internal affairs of the country only. Wrong. Both internal and external. Both internal and external. India can govern its country according to its will internally. India can govern its country according to its will externally. So it is wrong. Only is wrong because both internal and external affairs India can manage. Membership in various trading and political blocs. No, this is a wrong statement, because the moment you become a member of any trading or any group, then you have to listen to that group. Okay, that is not called as sovereignty. Now, whatever you do, then you have to ask the permissions from them. Otherwise, they will put sanctions. So this is not called as true sovereignty. Governance of the country as liked by the sovereign authority. Very right. Very right. Got it. So here, true sentiments. This is one, and this is one. We are having 1 and 4 here. Okay, 1 and 4. Fine. So I have given here correct only. One's first statement is correct. Here we are having internal affairs only. This is wrong because both internal and external should come here. That's why it is incorrect. Membership in various strategic loan, compromise sovereignty. That is also incorrect. Governance of the country as by the sovereign authority. Right. So answer will be C. Statements are right, but I have given you this way. I just mark it right. Okay, fine. Which of the following are the features of preamble? First of all, preamble is not enforceable by law. I have explained you in this video at the beginning only. If any of the principles in the preamble are violated by the state government or the central government through laws, through schemes, through programs, okay, can we file a suit against the union or state government that principles of preamble are getting violated? Means no. Article violation is there, then you can go to the court. Preamble principles are violated, you cannot go to the court. That's why neither preamble is enforceable nor it is justiciable. Means you will not get justice on the basis of preamble principles if they are violated. Is it a part of constitution? Yes. It shows the various objects. Objects here are nothing but objectives. Yes, preamble shows various objectives. Okay, which upon which constitution is established by the makers of constitution. Means whatever the preamble principles are there, on this principle the constitution was prepared. Okay, means preamble shows, gives a the objectives in a proper manner, and on these objectives the constitution has to be prepared. That is what preamble says. Yes, it does says that way. It helps the judiciary for the interpretation of law and the discharge of justice. This also I have told you. So here 2, 3, 4 are right. 2, 3, 4 are right. Okay, answer should be B. Here answer should be B. Why this is like this? Every statements are right. I did not update it English. 2, 3, 4. Here it should be B. So that's why statements are anyhow right only. It is enforceable by the judiciary. Wrong. Incorrect statement. It is a part of constitution. Yes. It gives various objectives upon which our constitution should be prepared. Yes. It helps the judiciary for the interpretation of laws. Yes. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Done. Which among the following are the quantitative tools of monetary policy? Let us see this one in a proper way. Okay. See, we are having RBI at the top. You know that RBI is the Central Bank of India. Apex Bank of India. Controller of banks in India. Supervisor of all banks in India. Right. And RBI has also got what? RBI has also got RBI. You know that when we do banking and finance, there I will tell you, when RBI was created by the act called by the act in the year 1934. That act was called as RBI Act of 1934. So act was made. It is written in the act that we should have a RBI that is going to control and supervise all the banks of the country. So RBI Act of 1934. Got it. So here what happens is then after everything is written in the act, the building should come in, right? The office should come in. When did the office was established? April 1st, 1935, RBI came into existence. Means we have seen the building of RBI. When RBI was established, the headquarter was in Kolkata. Kolkata headquarter, previous headquarter. But later on, the headquarter was shifted to Mumbai. Remember this point: RBI is not in Delhi. RBI is not in Delhi. Please remember. At present, RBI is in Mumbai. Okay. When RBI was established, when in 1934, it was a private bank. Means government. It was not a government-owned bank. It was a bank where you, me, and everyone has contributed, and we have established a bank, and that bank was functioning. Okay, it was a private bank, but later on it was nationalized. Nothing but all the shares of the private individuals like you and me, our shares, all of them are bought by the government of India, and this particular RBI is dedicated to the country. Dedication to the country, any asset is called as nationalization. So government of India, what they have done is they have paid the respective money of the private individuals, and they have owned what? These banks, and dedicated to the country. Means now, from now on, it will be a country's asset. It will be the sovereign country's asset. It is India's asset, and it will work for the development of the country. That is called as nationalization. Okay. So in other way, we can say also that nationalization is nothing but when majority shareholders, when majority share of ownership is with government of India, then also it is called as nationalization. Okay, I'll go into that discussion later, but just talk about RBI now. Okay, so little bit things I have given you. Now, RBI is mainly established, Reserve Bank of India is mainly established to control what? Inflation, to control what? Deflation. Nothing but this is only called as stabilization of prices. And RBI is also involved in what? Economic growth. Okay, RBI is involved in what? Economic growth. The revival means the economy should grow. That is also objective of RBI. And this inflation and deflation, RBI controls by increasing and decreasing what? Money supply. Money supply in the market. In the country is nothing but you and me, how much money we are having, whether it should be 100 crores with all the people of the country, whether it should be 50 crores with all the people of the country, whether it should be 150 crores. What is that? How we are going to decrease and increase this money in the hands of the people? Okay. And that is what RBI does. How RBI increases the money in the hands of the people, how RBI decreases the money in the hands of the people, it is all done by RBI. So money supply, whether RBI has to increase or decrease, okay. How much money should be there in the market, that is also done by RBI. This thing the RBI does in order to control what? Inflation and deflation. Okay, that's why, see, deflation will be harmful to producers. Means those who are selling, if their prices are continuously drop. Okay, if a laptop prices from 40,000, then 35,000, it goes on dropping. If potato prices 30 rupees kg, 20 rupees kg, it's dropping, then it is a loss to producers or not? Yes. Deflation is not good to the economy. If the prices are decreasing, how can more investment can come in the country, right? Okay, no new people will not grow potato like that. Okay, then we have to import potatoes. Then import means foreign exchange reserves will get eroded. Okay, okay, that rupee will be like now appreciate, like rupee will undergo devaluation or depreciation like that. Okay, our currency will continuously become weak if we continuously import. Remember this point. So it is not good for producers. Okay, if a particular product prices is coming down, why do you want to invest? You will not invest, because when demand is not there, you will not invest. You will not open up another factory. So no expansion means no new employment will be created. So deflation is not good to the country, and inflation is also not good to the country. We have seen in inflation chapter how it affects each and everyone. Please watch the inflation 3 videos are uploaded. Awesome videos are there, you just watch it. Okay, so remember this point. So stabilization of prices are done by RBI. RBI, the main tool, the main concept of RBI is to increase or decrease the money supply. Increase the money supply when the deflation is there. Decrease the money supply when there is a inflation is there. Means when more money is there in the market. Okay, when more money is there in the market, what will happen? Inflation will come. Okay, more demand you are doing means the product prices will continuously go on increasing. So you have to decrease money supply when there is inflation. When nobody is buying, that's why demand is continuously decreasing. When demand decreases, the producer will start giving the product in lesser prices. He will not go for more expansion. He will not go for more production, right? So at that time, what RBI has to do? RBI should increase the money supply. So money supply increase means we'll go and buy. Like that. The prices also will increase and stabilizes. So this increase in money supply and decrease in money supply is done by RBI in 2 categories. One is quantitative tools. Another one is qualitative tools. Quantitative tools we are having here. RBI formulates a policy called as monetary policy. Monetary policy is nothing but money supply policy. Money supply policy means कितना money supply होना चाहिए country में. How much money supply should be there in the country. So this money supply, whether to increase or decrease in case of deflation or increase, will be done through these tools. We call these as monetary policy tools. Some are quantitative tools, means here volume of money will be targeted. Volume kitna rehna, volume of money will be targeted, whether it should increase or decrease. We call them as quantitative tools. Here qualitative tools. Here volume of money will not be concentrated. Some other concepts are there here. We will learn slowly. Okay. Now in quantitative tools, we are first having reserve ratios. Reserve ratios, or of when you say ratios, you can understand that something upon someone, something upon something, right? Okay. So here I will tell you in detail in our next test. When we conduct a test, then we will give the questions now, then I will explain you all of this. Just we are having very simple MCQs today. For that purpose I am telling you. Quantitative tools, reserve ratios are of 2 types. First one is cash reserve ratio. Another one is statutory liquidity ratio. Then we are having policy rates. Again 2 types. Repo rate, reverse repo rate. Some other miscellaneous we are having OMO, open market operations. Then we are having another one, we are having bank rate. Then we are having marginal standing facility. Marginal standing facility. Right. The last one we are having CMB, cash management bills. This is not directly related to us, it is related to government. I'll talk about it later. But anyhow, the control of money supply, whether to increase or decrease, also depends on what? This CMB, cash management bills. These are all quantitative tools. These are all quantitative tools. So 1 we are having, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 tools we are having in quantitative, which talks about the volume. How much money should be there in the country, like that. Then we are having here qualitative tools. Okay, does not talk about quantity or volume of the money in the market, but takes some important concepts. Okay, process mechanism, procedural procedural process ways this particular tools are used. One is loan to value asset. Loan to value asset. Margin requirement. I will tell you each and everything in my next video. Margin requirement, just try to by heart, mug up all of this. Margin requirement, credit rationing, selective credit control, moral suasion and direct action. So how many we are having here? Here we are having 1, 2, third one is credit rationing, fourth one is selective credit control, fifth one is moral suasion, sixth one is direct control. So 7 qualitative tools, 8 qualitative tools we are having with regard to monetary policy. Let us see now. Which among the following are quantitative tools of monetary policy? Quantitative. Reserve ratios, do we have it? Yes. Policy rate, cash management bills. Okay. Reserve ratio, policy rates, cash management bills. Yes, we are having 3. Okay. Let us see the this one. Margin requirement. Margin requirement, where it is? Margin requirement is here. Okay. Margin requirement. So this is qualitative. This is quantitative. So answer here is 1. Our answer here is 1, 2 and 3 only. 1, 2 and 3. Answer is C. Answer is C. Now second one. Which among the following are referred to as reserve ratios? Okay. So I have categorized. Reserve ratios means only 2. CRR, cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio, SLR. Only 2 are reserve ratios. So cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio. Okay. Which one of the following are referred to as reserve ratios? Only 1 and 2. Only 1 and 2. Okay. वालेकुम सलाम बेटा, मैं क्लास में हूँ, क्लास होने के बाद फोन कर. Give me 5 minutes. Chalo. 1 and 2. Okay, 1 and 2 answer is again C, because repo rate, reverse repo rate, base rate, these are all not called as reserve ratio. Reserve ratios are only 2, CRR, SLR. Okay. Then, which among the following is not available for lending by banks? Remember this point here. Okay. If I am a bank, see, bank is a de-reserved sector. Banks is a de-reserved, means reserved sector means reserved sector means only government can establish the enterprise. Private people like you and me cannot do it. Like, can you establish railways? No. Can Ambani establish railways? No. Can Ratan Tata establish railways? No. Can you? Can me? No. Because it is reserved to the government of India. They will only establish. Can you establish space industry in our country? No. Can I establish? No. Can Ratan Tata? No. Can Ambani? No. It is again a government only can do it. So those sectors where government can only establish an enterprise, it is called as reserved. Bank, can you establish? Yes. Can I establish? Yes. Ratnakar Bank is there. Vijaya Bank is there. Axis Bank is there. HDFC. So private also can establish. Government can also establish. So it means what? It is a de-reserved sector or not? Yes. It is a banking is a de-reserved sector, but remember it is regulated because RBI will regulate. It is deregulated. It is regulated but de-reserved. Banking means you and me can establish, provided you have to fulfill the criteria given by RBI. Then RBI will give you the license. Enjoy. Okay. So suppose I have got a bank, Shujat Diamond Bank. I have established Shujat Diamond Bank and Toli Chowki. Toli Chowki is where I live. In this Toli Chowki, Chaurasta is there. This is the roads I am having. Okay, in this Chaurasta, there is a big complex is there. In the first floor, I established a bank, Shujat Diamond Bank with RBI license I have got. RBI license I have got. I have then all of these people, all of my students will come and I will say that please deposit money in my account, in my bank like that. You all opened account and started your father, mother are all depositing. I got, let's suppose I got 10 crores. Now, what is the main function of bank? Bank main function is to accept deposit from you, yes, and to give it to loans. So I will say that, sir, you give 1 lakh rupees. I will give 1 lakh 10,000. It means how much I am giving interest rate to you on 1 lakh? I am giving 10% interest rate or not? Yes, 10% interest rate. Can I do this just like that? Am I a Nizam or Nawab or Babar or Akbar so that I am having itna khazana? No, right? So what I'll do? So I have to give the rent of this particular building. I have to give the infrastructure, IT related money. I have to give server related money. I have to give the money for the electricity bill, stationery, table, chairs, salaries of the employee. All these I have to, and in that my profit also should be there. No, mera bhi ghar chalna. My family also has to survive. Right? Yes. Then remember this point. What I will do? I will take 1 lakh and I promise you people that I will give 10,000 extra. Means 10%. Then I have to give this in loans or not. Bank main function is to accept deposit and give loans. So I will give at 20%. The 10% I am taking extra, I know, is my revenue. Means this is where I can pay to everyone and I can enjoy. I can also earn profits. But RBI said, "Oh, Mr. Shujat, can you hear me?" Yes, sir. What happened? 10 crores you have got? No, you cannot lend 10 crores. Okay, you can lend only 7 crores. I said, why? No, you have to keep aside this money. Okay, you have to keep some money in this fund. You have to keep some money in this fund. Means out of 10 crores, I am not allowed to lend all the 10 crores. Okay, I am allowed to lend only 7 crores only. Some amount of my deposits I have to keep in this fund and I have to keep in this fund. That's why these two funds are technically not available for lending by the banks. So 1 and 2 not available to lending by the banks. Answer is C, very right. Which among the following are the objectives of monetary policy? All of these objectives we have already learned. 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer is A. Which among the following is not a quantitative tool? Not a quantitative tool. As you all know, let us see this one. Cash management bill. Okay, cash management bill, quantitative tools, so that is gone. Margin requirement, yes, margin requirement, a qualitative tool, very right. Then we are having credit rationing and loan to asset value. Credit rationing, loan to asset value. So 3 we are having qualitative, 1 is quantitative. Okay. So here you see, this is quantitative, all these are what? Qualitative. So it is asking me which one of the following is not a quantitative tool. Means 2, 3, 4 are not. No. 2, 3, 4 are what? Qualitative. And the question here is not. So 2, 3, 4 is our answer. Answer is B. Okay. So thanks a lot for hearing to me. So I will give the results in an hour. I will take my breakfast. I will give the results in an hour. Then I will give the syllabus. Then we'll go with the full-fledged lectures on that, and we'll try to finish select features of the constitution also. If you like the lecture, please subscribe to my channel, and also please be a part of my free mentoring program. You will definitely learn a lot. Bye bye. Take care.